Dearest God, our loving Lord, to you we direct our praise and prayer, as creator of the world, as giver of life. 400 years ago, upon Las Islas de Filipinas, our beloved country, it pleased you to establish Colegio de San Juan de Letran as haven for the poor, as seedbed of saints, as cradle of heroes, a school dedicated to the teaching of truth and the learning of life. On this, our Jubilee, bind us to our oath as your knights, without fear in the face of enemies, brave and upright in the love of God, always truthful, even unto death, defenders of the helpless, doers of good. May the blessings bestowed upon us lead us to serve your people and return to you in thanks eternal. Through the pleas of Mary, in the name of Jesus, Arriba, Amen.
Colegio de San Juan de Letran, Mission and Vision. Letran Mission. We are Colegio de San Juan de Letran. We are a Catholic school committed to Dominican preaching through education towards the integral formation of the human person in the noble tradition of knightly excellence, with a special devotion to Mary, according to the ideal of Deus, Patria, Letran. Vision. Filled with the Arriba spirit towards 2022, we shall raise the awareness, efforts, and standards of Letran Manila as a reputable school of quality education that is centered on the Dominican community that preaches Christ, that offers programs in academics, research, community service that are responsive and responsible to the nation, that forms Letranites who are ready for a relevant role in the world.
Good afternoon, Letranites! Welcome to Sulong Kalusugan, a webinar wherein we will tackle the importance of health health and physical fitness amidst the pandemic. I am Hannah Pimentel.
And I am Gio Guerrero, and we are your hosts for today's event. So Hana, kamusta naman yung academic
Yes.
break mo?
Ayun, Gio, sobrang na-enjoy ko yung academic break, nakapagpahinga
Mhm.
ko, at saka nakanood ako ng K-drama, 'di ba? Kasi syempre, kailangan ma-keep up ko yung sanity ko and less stress para syempre, ready ako sumabak para sa ating finals. Ikaw naman, Gio, kamusta naman yung academic break mo and paano mo ba na-enjoy yung 4 na araw?
Ayan, na-enjoy ko yung academic break ko by spending time with my family, virtual meetings and hangouts with my friends, at syempre, Netflix and chill na din, di ba Hana? So Hana, balita ko ngayong
Yes,
araw, meron tayong pinaglakan na dalawang speaker.
that's right, Gio. And today, kasama sila, pag-uusapan natin kung gaano nga ba kahalaga ang kalusugan, lalong-lalo na ngayon sa panahon ng pandemya.
And to formally start our event, we would like to call on our Hospitality Management Senator of the Letran Student Council, Mr. Craig Emil Gabito, for his opening remarks.
Magandang araw mga letranista. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. Alam kong nakakapagod ang nagdaang midterms, nakakadrain ng utak at pangangatawan. Kaya naman nagbigay ng academic break ang ating mahal na kolehiyo. Sana'y nasulit niyo ito, nagkaroon kayo ng magandang tulog at pahinga. Sana'y nagkaroon din kayo ng mga oras para sa inyong mga sarili. Ngayong araw na ito ay naghandog kami ng isang programang alam naming makakatulong sa inyo ngayong nasa panahon tayo ng pandemya. Tinatalakay dito ang pangangalaga sa ating mental health, physical fitness, and nutrition. Nagpapasalamat ako sa aking mga partner organization sa loob at labas ng Letran dahil kami ay kanilang tinulungan at sinuportahan sa programang ito. Ganun din sa Department of Student Affairs at Guidance Office dahil kami ay kanilang ginabayan sa pagsagawa ng proyektong ito. Nagpapasalamat din ako sa ating nagagandahan at nababaguang mga host dahil sa pagtanggap nila ng aming imbitasyon para sa ngayong webinar na gagawin natin. Sa mga manonood, inaanyayahan ko kayong imbitahan ang inyong mga kaklase, kaibigan at mahal sa buhay na manood sa ngayong araw na ito. Ako si Craig Emil Gabito, your Letran Student Council Hospitality Management Senator. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much,
Ayan.
Craig, for your very wonderful opening remarks.
Ayan, kaya naman ngayon, Gio, wag na nating patagalin pa for the next part of our program to tackle the importance of physical fitness and, of course, the COVID-19 precautions.
Let us welcome our very first speaker. He is a registered nurse, licensed medical doctor, a school physician at Colegio de San Juan de Letran, a retainer physician at San Miguel Corporation Shipping and Litterage, a graduate from University of Santo Tomas. Let us now welcome Dr. Nikko Castillo.
Hello, good afternoon. Could you hear me now? I'm sorry, I'm just having technical problems. Anyway, again, I would like to greet everyone a pleasant afternoon. First, I would like to thank the Letran Student Council for inviting me as guest speaker for their activity this afternoon. I am truly honored with this opportunity to share knowledge to my fellow Letranites. And today I will be discussing physical health in the light of the new normal. Next slide, please. First, let me define health for you. According to the World Health Organization, health encompasses three aspects, namely physical, mental, and social well-being of a person. Parang tayong mga letranista lang, we are being honed as well-rounded individuals for Deus, Patria, and Letran. Health is also like that, in such a way that all the aforementioned factors should be present for us to be truly healthy. Also, it doesn't mean that if the illness is not apparent, an individual is not sick. For example, in the light of the current pandemic, some people who do not have symptoms may test positive for COVID 19. This is a concrete example of persons not merely having or not merely the absence of a disease of infirmity. So again, we go back to the WHO definition. No? It may seem passé kasi nga 1946 pa siya, and I am sure hindi siya papasa as research literature, no? But I assure you that this description of health is timeless and timely. Although a disclaimer, we all know that October is Mental Health Month. But in this lecture, I will be focusing on physical health alone, as the Colegio prepared programs that would be addressing your mental health concerns. Next slide, please. So physical health enables a person to perform tasks and daily activities at an optimal level. It is generally achieved through nutrition, exertion, and rest. I will further narrow down my discussion to exertion, since the next speaker would be discussing about nutrition. Next slide, please. Whenever I see patients in the clinics, I always integrate exercise in my health promotion and disease prevention advice. And it never fails that patients would always say, Dok, nagwawalis naman po ako, pinagpapawisan naman po ako eh. Okay na po ba yun? So the question here is that enough? Especially that we are in a tropical country. Madali ka naman talagang pagpapawisan even without moving. In this slide, there is a difference between exercise and physical activity. Physical activity is any movement of the body requiring energy. With this, not all physical activity is exercise. Exercise, on the other hand, is planned, structured, purposeful, sometimes repetitive physical activity with the goal of increasing an individual's level of fitness. Next slide, please. Also, exercise has the following benefits. It may reduce you and your risk of developing lifestyle diseases such as hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. It provides better sleep patterns. It improves cognition, memory, attention, and processing speed. It makes you feel good as exercise releases hormones which reduce your pain perception and trigger a positive feeling in the body, in general, leading to fewer symptoms of depression and anxiety. And ultimately, it provides a better quality of life and overall sense of well-being. Next slide, please. Now that we know that exercise is purposeful and has a goal, we may say that body mass index, or BMI, is an objective measure of how much an individual is achieving that goal. BMI is the reference standard for normal body weight. It is computed by dividing weight in kilograms by height in meters squared. And the dividend is used to classify the weight status of a person and his or her risk of disease. In this table, you can see BMI for those in the Asia-Pacific region are generally lower than the rest of the world. Because in general, Asians have smaller build. So you must remember that to be classified as normal or healthy in the Asian population, your BMI should be in between the range of 18.5 to 22.9. Next slide, please. Knowing that we need exercise, we will now discuss how much is enough. According to the American Heart Association, we must have 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise or activity on most days of the week. So that is around 4 to 5 days a week. No? Some examples of moderate intensity aerobic exercises would be brisk walking of at least 2.5 miles per hour, water aerobics, dancing, may it be ballroom dancing or social dancing, although in the current trend, we may include your TikTok entries here. Another example for moderate intensity aerobic activity would be gardening for the plantitos and plantitas out there. Tennis, biking slower than 10 miles per hour. Also, the AHA recommends moderate to high intensity muscle training for the remainder of the week, which includes weight training, running, and another current trend, which is the high intensity interval training or the HIIT. Next slide, please. The previous slide tackled exercise for the general population, but medicine is always personalized. So we should also consider a patient's individual characteristics. To individualize exercise, we must compute for the maximum heart rate by subtracting his or her age from the constant 220. Next is to identify the target heart rate by getting 50 to 70% of the maximum heart rate for moderate intensity exercise and 70 to 85% for the maximum heart rate for vigorous intensity exercise. Next slide, please. Based from the previous formula, so ito na, naka-table form na siya para hindi na tayo magko-compute, ano? But for those who have trust issues, by all means, you may compute for additional brain exercise na rin. For example, a 20-year-old person should have 100 to 140 beats per minute, heartbeats per minute that is, if he or she is doing moderate intensity exercise. The same person doing vigorous exercise should have 140 to 170 beats per minute. Next slide, please. In the current situation, moderate intensity exercises are more favored than high intensity exercises, especially for those who are not used to exercise. Starting from a low to moderate intensity exercise is advised as this builds muscle strength with less chances of sustaining injuries. The important thing here is the regularity of exercise and gradually increasing the intensity as the need arises. These are some of the physical activities that are classified as moderate physical activity. Let me emphasize here that walking should be brisk walking and not just leisure walking. Other forms are discussed earlier, such as the gardening, dancing, cycling, and water aerobics or swimming. Next slide, please. So in this slide, it is just a reminder that whether you've been exercising for years or are just starting a fitness program, it is important to avoid injuries so that you can keep moving closer to your fitness goals. To avoid getting injured, follow these precautions. Number one is to talk to your doctor. Your doctor can help you determine whether you're healthy enough to exercise and what, if any, modifications you'll need to make your program. Exercise programs should be customized to the individual whenever possible to account for any limitations and ongoing medical conditions. Number two is to choose your workout carefully. With this, you should consider the intensity of the exercise and the individual's target heart rate, as mentioned earlier. Number three is to learn the proper technique. Don't start a new exercise without first learning the correct form. To learn the right form, work with a trainer at home or in the gym, or consult a physical therapist to help you tailor a workout to your health conditions and physical capabilities. Number 4, get the right gear. Buy a pair of sturdy, comfortable sneakers that provide good arch support and have a cushioned heel to absorb shock. I've had patients who had poor, non comfortable sneakers who've had foot pains, knee pain. So this will be avoided by wearing a pair of comfortable sneakers. You should also wear loose, comfortable clothing that would give you room to move and breathe. Number 5, you should start gradually. Do not jump into a new exercise program abruptly. So you should start slowly. And if you're cycling, for example, set the bike's controls on the lowest speed and tension and pedal for just a few minutes for your first few times. Gradually increase the speed and intensity only when you feel ready. Next slide, please. Number 6 is advising for a warm up session because a proper warm up can improve blood flow to the working muscle and reduce stiffness. This also potentially lowers the risk of any injury. Number 7, you should stay hydrated because when you work out, you sweat, and that means you lose some of the essential fluids and electrolytes that your body needs. To take you through your exercise program, in between your exercise programs, try to drink a glass of water. And even before you start your program, try to drink a few sips of water. Number 8 is for you to cool down. You should finish your workout with a slow walk or gentle stretch for 5 to 10 minutes to cool down and maintain flexibility. Number 9 is to vary your workouts. The variety will work different muscle age groups, prevent boredom, and give your body a chance to recover between sessions. And lastly, know when to stop. Obviously, you never want to work out to the point of pain. If an activity hurts, stop doing it right away. Playing through pain can prolong your recovery rate, your healing time, and take you away from the game or exercise joy. Next slide, please. Now, if the inevitable happens and then you become injured, so you sustain minor injuries such as mild sprains and strains, you may use the price therapy for 2 to 3 days. P is for protection of the affected area from further injury. One example would be by using a support. R is for rest or avoidance of exercise and reducing your daily physical activity. I is for ice application to the affected area for 15 to 20 minutes every 2 to 3 hours. Wrap the ice pack in a towel so that it doesn't directly touch your skin, as it may cause an ice burn. C is for compression through the use of elastic compression bandages during the day to limit swelling. And E is for elevation or keeping the injured body part raised above the level of your heart whenever possible. This technique may also help reduce swelling. Next slide, please. So this 5210, the secret code to a healthy lifestyle. But what is 5210? Actually, this campaign is a plan to improve child health. You might ask, Doc, college na kami, bakit mo pa ile-lecture yan sa amin? Well, it spreads a common message throughout the different age groups where families work, live, and play. This program represents 4 healthy behaviors, children and adults alike, that they should achieve each day. So ayan, hindi lang naman siya applicable sa mga bata. For adults and adolescents as well. So everyone should consume 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. They should have 2 hours or less of screen time. Although this is hard, especially now that classes are online and ebooks are of widespread use. Siguro for this, I advise you to avoid your Mobile Legends, other computer games, and Netflix during class days. 1 hour or more of physical activity is advised, as mentioned earlier. And lastly, zero or no intake of sugary drinks. You may substitute sugary drinks with water. You should consume more water for around 2 to 3 liters of water per day instead. Next slide, please. So again, this is a reiteration of the 5210 program. 5 or more fruits or vegetables, 2 hours less of recreational time, 1 hour or more of physical activity, and no consumption of sugary drinks. Next slide, please. So here, ito na naman tayo, narinig nyo na naman, new normal. So medyo nakakasaturate na ba? Well, we must accept that this is the new normal aspect of physical health. No? This part of the lecture emphasizes that what you should know about COVID-19 to protect yourself and others, with the hope of ultimately staving off the onslaught of this virus. Next slide, please. So this slide, know your enemy. Sun Tzu stated in his book, The Art of War, that if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. With this in mind, you should plan against your enemy by knowing how it spreads. The virus is thought to spread mainly from person to person through respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby or possibly be inhaled into the lungs. COVID-19 may be spread by people who are not showing symptoms. So the best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to the virus. Next slide, please. Knowing that our enemy is primarily spread through aerosolized droplets, we must prepare our battle gear. Our first and primary protection is a face mask. I usually advise my patients to use surgical masks or thick cloth masks, especially when going out. This provides a sturdy barrier which limits the spread of infection. With the updates of DOH, DOLE, and DTI, the use of face shields in public areas is now mandatory. It prevents the entry of infectious particles through the mucous membranes, such as the eyes. So it is also helpful with a mask. No? Next slide, please. Practice respiratory hygiene by covering your sneezes and to prevent the spread of potentially infectious droplets to other people and ultimately prevent the spread of diseases. So this is respiratory hygiene or sneezing and coughing etiquette. Next slide. So clean hands save lives. Clean your hands often. Wash your hands as frequent as possible with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after you have been in a public place or after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. If soap and water are not readily available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Cover all surfaces of your hands and rub them together until they feel dry. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Next slide, please. So basically, this slide presents the moments of hand hygiene. You must wash your hands as frequently as possible before and touching objects. So this is just what this slide would like to mention. Next slide, please. So these This slide shows the proper technique of hand washing with soap and water. First, you must wet your hands with water, apply enough soap to cover all hand surfaces, rub your hands palm to palm, and then proceed to the back of your hands, and then rub your palm to the back of the other hand with the fingers interlaced, rub palm to palm with the fingers interlaced, rub with the back of the fingers to the opposing palms with fingers interlocked, rub each thumb clasped in the opposite hand using a rotational movement, rub tips of fingers in the opposite palm in a circular motion. And of course, the wrist is the mostly missed area of the hand, so you should also focus on washing both your wrists. Rinse your hands thoroughly. Do not retouch the faucet with your bare hands after washing, and dry your hands thoroughly. Next slide, please. So this is a video presentation from the WHO on the proper hand washing technique. So if there's no audio, is there an audio? So if there is none, the woman here first with her hands, and then rubbing both hands palm to palm with fingers clasped or interlaced. Now, this is rubbing the back of the fingers with the opposing palms with the fingers interlocked. She is not missing her thumbs. Both thumbs should also be washed thoroughly. And then the palms together with the tips of the fingers in a circular motion. And then the wrists should not be forgotten. Rinsing thoroughly. And then here, she does not retouch the faucet which she used for hand washing. Okay. So next slide, please. So remember to disinfect. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces daily. This includes your tables, doorknobs, light switches, countertops, handles, desks, light switches, phones, keyboards, toilets, faucets, and sinks. If the surfaces are dirty, clean them using detergent or soap and water for disinfection. Next slide, please. We now have a social dilemma of breaking the chain of COVID-19 transmission. Humans are social beings, but in contemporary times, we are tasked or we are ordered to avoid close contact. With this, we should limit our contact with other people as much as possible. Put 2 to 3 meters distance between yourself and other people. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. If you yourself are sick, isolate yourself and seek medical advice through telemedicine. Remember that some people without symptoms may be able to spread the virus. This is especially important for people who are at higher risk of getting the disease. No? So these are the very, very young, the very old, and those with other diseases and comorbid conditions. So you should protect others, not just yourself. Next slide, please. So should I be shaking hands or should I avoid shaking hands because of the new coronavirus? So yes. So in short, avoid close contact, avoid intimate contact as well. Next slide, please. So this is wearing rubber gloves while out in public effective in preventing the new coronavirus infection. I see some people in the grocery wearing gloves but touch everything from produce to their wallets, phones, and even their faces to adjust their masks, to adjust their face shields. No. So You must avoid wearing gloves, as these may provide a false sense of security and take away the emphasis on hand washing or disinfection. Next slide, please. So the question here is about vitamin supplementation. With a knowledge of biochemistry, vitamin C has an antioxidant activity and is important for connective tissue metabolism. It may slightly decrease the symptoms and duration of the upper respiratory tract infections. Vitamin D is thought to be important in maintaining normal function of many non-skeletal tissues such as muscle, immune function, and inflammation, as well as cell proliferation and differentiation. So highly technical, no? But in the most practical sense, we need vitamin D supplementation because quarantine restrictions also limit our exposure to sunlight, which is the major source of vitamin D. Zinc has been reported to reduce the duration and the symptoms of the common colds in adults. Also, it may be an effective adjunctive therapeutic strategy for diarrheal disease and pneumonia in children. Next slide, please. And lastly, if symptoms persist, huwag mahihiyang magtanong. So consult your doctor if symptoms persist or if you have other questions regarding your health. Okay. With this, I would like to end my presentation and thank you for your kind attention.
Ayan. Thank you, Dr. Castillo, for sharing your knowledge with our fellow Letranites. Sobrang timely po ng mga shinare nyo sa amin dahil makatulong po ito sa pag-prevent ng iba't ibang sakit o bakterya. At siguradong maraming ma-inspire mag-exercise, lalong-lalo na karamihan sa ating mga letranista ay stuck at home, di ba? So sa ating mga kapaletranista, just like what Dr. Castillo said, lagi po natin tatandaan mag-warm up din para maiwasan ang iba't ibang injury. At syempre, gusto ko rin po i-take ang opportunity na ito to acknowledge the presence of our 4 college deans. Thank you so much for tuning in here in Sulong Kalusugan despite your busy schedules.
Yes, that's right, Gio. But of course, Dr. Castillo, before we let you go po, we will be having a question and answer portion with our audience. So guys, sa ating mga audience dyan, if you have questions, feel free to comment down below para po masagot ni Dr. Castillo ang inyong mga katanungan. But before that po, ako po, Dr. Nikko, meron po akong personal question. Since you've mentioned po na vitamins is a must, if ever po ba hindi afford nung person yung vitamins in a tablet form or in a capsule form, ano pong pwedeng pamalit na fruits or vegetables to get that vitamin na makakapagpa-boost po ng aming immune system?
Well, thank you for that question. If tablets or vitamin supplementations are not readily available because of constraints, a person may substitute it with a normal or balanced diet. No? So what type of fruit and vegetables specifically? So citrus fruits like lemon, oranges, calamansi juice. So lahat po yun makakatulong. As well as the green leafy vegetables, it may increase your immunity kasi lahat po ng fruits and vegetables, or almost all, would be containing zinc also. So it would boost your immune system din po.
Mm-hmm.
And for the vitamin D supplementation,
Ayan.
kung walang tablets, pwede naman na magpa-araw siguro sa garage ninyo o kaya sa bintana, tumabi kayo sa bintana just for a few minutes of sunlight exposure.
Sunlight. Mm-hmm.
Ayan, kaya naman Letranites, simula po ngayon, araw-arawin na natin ang pagkain ng gulay at prutas, 'di ba? Syempre kahit nasa bahay lang tayo, kailangan natin maging healthy. Thank you so much po, Dr. Castillo, for answering my question. And now, it's time naman po for our audience to ask questions for you. Yan, Gio, meron ba tayong questions dyan?
Ayan, so from question number 1 from Mr. Mitch Costales. Doc, question po, ano po cause ng heartburn?
Okay, so for heartburn, actually maraming causes ang heartburn, no? Number one, if you skip meals, so it might cause an increase in your production, stomach acid production. So aakyat yung acid ninyo sa chest, sa lalamunan. So number one, skipping meals.
Mhm.
Number two, consumption of spicy food, sour food. Kung mahilig kayo sa mga grande, sa tall, coffee, ganyan. So it may cause heartburn. And stress would also cause an increase in the production of your stomach acid. So ang advice ko dito, stress management, stress reduction as much as possible. And another cause of heartburn would be smoking. Kasi yung cigarette smoke, nagkukos din siya ng pagdami noong stomach acid. So again, spicy food, skipping meals, coffee,
Coffee.
and yun, smoking, stress, yan.
Ayan, thank you so much, Doc. For our question number 2 from Miss Sandy de Guzman, bakit po may dizziness na nararamdaman pag biglaan po tayong nag-e-exercise?
Okay. So, a person may feel dizzy kapag nagkaroon siya ng sudden change in position. We call that postural
Mhm.
hypotension. Because the blood flow in the brain, no? Pag bigla kang from a lying down position, from a sitting down position. Pag bigla kang tumayo or bumangon, suddenly yung blood flow from the brain biglang bababa. So it might cause yung parang may hilo ka. It would also cause yung parang nakakakita ka ng stars or glare. So that may signify decreased blood flow to your brain. However, uh, there may be also other causes of dizziness like anemia, vertigo. Yung term namin is benign positional paroxysmal vertigo. So, as mentioned earlier, you must consult your doctor or physical therapist before engaging yourself in an exercise program para ma-tailor fit sa inyo, ma-personalize yung exercise program.
Ayan. Thank you so much, Doc, for answering the second question. So for our final question from the audience, from Mr. Camilo Cabusas, what is the proper time to have a sunbath?
Proper time for sunbath. Siguro early morning, mga around
Early morning.
6 to 8 or 9. Pero 9 onwards, hindi na siya advisable hanggang mga 3 or 4. Okay? Kasi medyo mataas na yung tirik ng araw,
Mm.
the UV rays would be different and stronger. So around 6, 7,
Mas,
8, ganyan.
masama na po sa balat
Ayan,
yun, ano? So, ayan.
yes. Thank you so much po, Dr. Castillo, for giving us tips and knowledge about physical fitness. We are honored po to be with you this afternoon.
So
Yan,
we're
sabi
almost done
po
with
ni
the
Miss
first
Chat.
part of our event. To our dear
Yes?
Letranites, we have prepared a few game questions for you and we'll be giving some exciting prizes.
But of course, before we start, you have to follow two rules. Ayan. Unang-una is look at the picture carefully. Kailangan talasan natin ang ating mga mata. At pangalawa, huwag niyong kalimutang i-comment ang inyong answer on the comment question below. So, Gio, huwag na natin tong patagalin pa. Let's now start
Tara!
our 4 picks, 1 word.
So for our
Okay.
very first
Ayan, Gio, ano
picture,
ba ang ating...
for our very first picture, ayan, hintayin lang po natin lumabas yung photo natin at lalabas na yan in a bit. So tune in, wait lang ha. Ayan, ayan na po yung photo. So on the upper left, meron po tayong character na nakasmile. On the upper right, meron po tayong character na galit na galit. On the lower left, meron po tayong character na grumpy. On the lower right, meron tayong sad na character. Ayan, mukhang madami nang nagko-comment ng mga sagot. So sino kaya ang mauuna?
Yes!
Mukhang maraming
Ayan,
nakakatamad
guys!
dito, Hana.
Comment down your answers below. Mahirapan ba tayong mamili ng mananalo?
Oo.
Siyempre, paunahan to, kaya ayan na.
Ayan, so
Okay.
for our
Meron
very
ang
first win,
nakakuha.
Si Mr. Tom sa Sedon, emotions. Tama po ang sagot
Ayan,
ni Mr. Tom.
tama.
Congratulations.
Congratulations po, Mr. Tom. And for our second photo, yan. Okay, makikita natin sa ating second photo ang iba't ibang tao nag-exercise regardless of age. And of course, mapababae and lalaki. So guys, ayan, talasan ng mga mata and comment your answers below. Ayan, Gio. Mukhang marami ang nagko-comment.
Ayan, mukhang marami nagka-comment.
Miss
Exercise?
Henica Lagtos, exercise daw. Sorry, but that's not the answer po.
Sino kaya ang makakatama? Ayan, mukhang meron na nakatama.
Guys, ayan, congratulations, Mr. Austin Cruz. You got it right. It's aerobics. Ayan, kaya guys, kailangan sa bahay tayo is nag-exercise tayo, nag-stretching like this. Diba? Yan, Chio, for our next photo.
So for our next photo, picture number 3, comment down below your answers. Ano po kaya ang sagot dito sa 4 picks 1 word na ito? Ayan. Live viewers, comment down below. Ayan. Okay, nagsisimula na po sila mag-answers. Oops! Mukhang meron ng nakatamang sagot. Si Miss Katrina Paredes, Anxiety. Congratulations, Miss Katrina Paredes.
Yan, congratulations!
Right answer. Good job. Ayan, Hannah, for the next
Congratulations, Miss Katrina. Okay, for our last but not the least picture. Ayan guys, last na to. So, talasan nyo na ang inyong mga mata at bilisan ng mag-type. Okay, ayan, meron tayong calorie count, water consumption, and of course, ang aking target for this year, ang sexy ways, and vegetables and fruits. Ayan guys, you can comment your answers below. Kung kaya target nyo yan. Okay, ayan na. Congratulations, Miss Lizzie Ann Morales. It is diet. Ayan. Importante po. Yes. Important yung diet. And syempre, wag naman nating gugutumin yung mga sarili natin. Diba, Gio?
So, ayan. Congratulations to all of our winners.
Congratulations congratulations po ulit. Para po sa ating mga winners, kindly message the Letran Student Council page to get your prizes. And of course, huwag nyo na rin pong kalimutan to follow our social media accounts for our YouTube account at the LSC Manila 2021 and for our TikTok account at the Letran SC Manila para po maging updated po kayo sa aming hinanda para sa taong ito.
Ayan. So now, my fellow Letranites, let us watch an intermission number prepared by Mr. Rexel James Meriales from Hospitality Management. Enjoy po tayo dito.
You will decide. Take courage in a world your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Ooh, like a rainbow. Can't remember when I last saw you laughing. This world makes you crazy, and you taking all you can bear. Just call me up, 'cause I will always be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Ooh, like a rainbow.
All right.
Grabe yun, Hana. Grabe. Sumabay yung lamig ng boses niya sa lamig ng panahon ngayon, no?
Kaya
So, thank
nga.
you, Mr. Rexel J. Sobrang galing mo. Thank you. So, to continue with our program, Hannah, should we welcome our second speaker for this afternoon?
Okay, guys, she's a registered nutritionist dietitian, program chairperson of nutrition and dietetics in Colegio de San Juan de Letran, Manila, a graduate from Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Master of Arts in Industrial Education, major in Hotel and Restaurant Management from Eulogio Amang Rodriguez Institute of Science and Technology. Letronites, let us now welcome our second speaker, Assistant Professor Adorita de Jose. De Letran, Manila, a graduate from Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Master of Arts in Industrial Education, major in Hotel and Restaurant Management from Eulogio Amang Rodriguez Institute of Science and Technology. Letronites, let us now welcome our second speaker, Assistant Professor Adorita de Jose.
Okay. Can you see me, guys? Hello? Can you hear and see me? Alright. Okay. Meron lang kasing nag-echo sa sa audio ko. Normal ba yon? Okay. Can you see me, guys? Hello? Can you hear and see me? Alright. Okay. So I have to... Meron lang kasing nag-echo. So what I am going to do? Sa audio ko. Normal ba yun? Ano daw ako sa sa live? Okay. Alis daw ako sa live. Hello? Can you hear and see me? Okay. So I have to... So what I am going to do? Hindi. Oo nga eh. Ano daw ako sa live? Okay muna yung okay.
Ayan,
Okay,
hello guys. So
guys.
habang inaayos po natin yung situation natin, pwede po tayo magpa-shoutout sa mga live viewers natin dyan.
Okay.
Ayan, sino po?
Tama. Kamusta naman kayo? 'Di ba?
Ayan, sana staying safe kayo. Lalo-lalo na malamig yung panahon ngayon, di ba? Madaling magkasakit. So,
Ayan,
vitamins lang tayo. Mm. And from
okay.
Mr. Mitch
From Mitch
Costales,
Costal.
in behalf of
In
LSE,
behalf of
thank you so
LSC,
much. Ikaw, Ana.
in behalf of LSC, thank you so much Studio 1620 for always helping us with our event. Never hesitate to reach out to LSC. Salamat. Tama, Gio. Maraming salamat po sa Studio 1620, di ba?
Ayan, shout out to Mr. Cho Bisco. Shout out Cho Bisco and Miss Justin Alpahora. ND lang malakas. Hehe. Ayan. Shout out to ND.
Yan. Oh, guys.
Happy birthday,
So,
Cho
Bisco.
Bisco.
Yes, happy birthday.
And shout out lang tayo guys. Comment down below.
Yan, comment lang kayo. Ayan. Okay, sabi ni Julio Antivo, join na kayo sa Let Your Voice Be Heard. Tama, Letronites, wag po nating sayangin ang ating mga talents. And of course, sumali na po tayo sa ating online competition na Let Your Voice Be Heard. So, meron po tayong 4 na category, which is photography, singing, spoken word poetry, and isa, nakalimutan ko. And essay writing. Ayon. Yan. Ang team po natin ngayon is, ayan. Ito pa, Gio. Huwag nating kalimutang sumali sa ating hashtag Ito Ako
Oo
Challenge,
naman.
diba?
So to our fellow Letter Knights, join lang
Grabe.
po tayo sa lahat ng mga projects ng LSE this Mental Health Week. This is to promote the mental well-being of our fellow Letter Knights and syempre to show support to one another in these trying times, di ba?
Okay. And sabi ni Jam David, happy birthday po kay Luis Asisto. Happy birthday, Luis!
Happy birthday!
And of course, Letra Nights, meron pa po kaming ni-ready na mga events for you. So stay tuned lang po kayo sa aming LSC page for the announcement.
From Mr. Adrian Aguilar, shout out po sa DA3A. Dalawa na lang kami sa batch namin. Yan, shout out
Okay
po
lang
sa inyo.
yan, diba?
So, nakabalik na po kaya si Miss
Ayan,
Adorita?
nakabalik na po.
So again, let us welcome Assistant Professor Adorita C. De Jose.
Okay, hello everyone. Okay, pasensya na. Adjusting to the new normal. We are having some difficulties sa pag-connect. Okay, so maulang hapon po sa lahat ng Letronites. Okay, so I am here to also contribute my expertise and knowledge about health and wellness to our Kaletronites this afternoon. But I want to start with a mini poll, a Mentimeter. I want to know kung ano ng status ng mga Letronites ng kalusugan nila during this time of quarantine. Okay, so can you please work with me by going to mentimeter.com and use the code. Let me share my slide first. Ayan, meron akong Okay. Ayan. So that's my presentation. So this is just a quick survey. Go to www.penti.com and use the code 306095 or scan the QR code that you see on the screen, and then you answer the poll questions. Can you locate it? Is it? Pakita mo. Hindi nakikita. Wala dito. Ayan. So, siguro we will just have a 1 minute. Shout out to Sir Melvin. Hello. Okay. So, according sa poll, meron pa. Okay. So, does anybody who is still answering? Meron pa ba? Para we can reveal. O, done na daw. Okay. Thank you very much sa mga replies. Okay. Ayan. So let's just wait for the result kung anong lumabas sa ating quick survey. Ayan. So the first question is, did you become more conscious with your diet during the quarantine? At yes, ang answer ng most of our participants. Okay? And then closely followed by slight lang. And then, merong tatlo na nag-no. So, hindi siya conscious. Okay? Hindi sila conscious. The other question, okay, let's flash the result. Ayan. So, the other question is, how many of you have experienced changes in weight since the start of the lockdown? And many answers, they have gained weight. Oh my. And others lost some weight. So, pero majority have gained. Okay? So, mukhang trend talaga to, no? In our present situation now that we are at home. Okay? So, siguro, with this question, at the end of my discussion, you will be enlightened of what really is proper nutrition, especially during this new normal. Okay, thank you very much for answering that quick survey. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so as of October 12, 2020, the Philippine status, okay, of COVID cases already rises up to 342,816 and continuously rising up every day, okay, as we monitor it. So as per WHO representative office in the Philippines, the national level of the Philippines remains in stage 2. So it means the pandemic is still increasing, okay, its level, but manageable clinical demand. Ibig sabihin, kaya pang i-keep up ng ating health system yung transmission. Localized community transmission with some geographic areas showing higher transmission intensity and indications of widespread community transmission. So there is ongoing evidence of an increasing trend in the number of cases and higher transmission in Region 3 and Region 4A and slightly a decreased trend in the National Capital Region. Siguro, this is because of yung tight na implementation ng wearing of face mask and other health protocols, plus yung talagang ano ng Metro Manila mayors to implement yung World Health Organization tsaka DOH and IATF protocols. Okay. So let us see what is the nutritional status of Pinoys during the pre-pandemic. Okay. So ang ibig sabihin nito, bago pa nagkaroon ng pandemic, there are already issues about the nutritional status of Filipinos or our kapwa Pinoys. So according to the 2019 Expanded National Nutritional Survey, okay, we have issues about food insecurity sa mga households, especially sa low-income group. So 64.1% of the Filipino households have food insecurity, kulang yung kanilang mga pagkain. And 99.9% proportion of children or 6 to 23 months old meeting the minimum acceptable diet. So, hindi nila nami-meet yung requirements. Okay. And another issue during the pre-pandemic among Pinoys, according to DOST and FNRI, is the decrease in 1.8% in children 6 to 23 months of age, but still have a moderate public health concern with anemia. Nag-decrease siguro because nagiging aware na ang mga Filipino of how important proper nutrition is, but still the problem remains in the community. And among the adolescents, which most of our participants today belongs to these age groups, there was also a decrease in the prevalence of overweight and obesity among adolescents from 11.6 to 9.8% from 2018 to 2019. So although there's a decrease, meron pa din talagang cases of overweight and obesity. And it's a full knowledge that overweight and obesity is brought about improper nutrition. Meanwhile, in terms of lifestyle-related risk factors, about 8 in every 10 adolescents were physically inactive, especially now that we are online, everybody's online. So almost 8 hours to 10 hours of spending time for adolescents are in front of the gadgets or computers. So 3 in every 100 were current smokers, okay? And 13 in every 100 were currently alcoholic drinkers. So this survey was made in 2019. Okay? So anemia, I'm sorry. Malakas kasi yung ulan. Humihina yung ano. Okay. So to continue, anemia was considered a mild public health problem among adolescents at 5.8% in 2019. Okay. So since we are in a lockdown and most of us are with our parents or mga relatives which are adults, so maybe you can share the information about what is the nutritional status of adults during pre-pandemic. Overweight and obesity were still prevalent among 1 in every 3 or 36.0% of Filipino adults, which can lead to irreversible conditions such as cardiovascular diseases and diabetes. So, when you say irreversible, hindi na siya maibabalik. Okay? So, the condition is there, pwede lang siyang controlled. Okay? So, these pre-pandemic results of the National Nutrition Survey means that there are existing nutritional deficiencies or problems already before the pandemic, and it's still existing until now. Okay? So, unfortunately, kasabay siya ng pandemic. So, dalawa na yung kumbaga madami na tayong issues about nutritional uh, kumbaga current nutrition situation, tas dadagdagan pa ng infection ng COVID-19 virus. Okay, with that, the World Health Organization recommended a healthy at home, healthy diet. Okay? Ayan. So this is with considering the result or the recommendation of Food and Nutrition Research Institute and the National Nutrition Council. Okay? So according to the World Health Organization, okay, eating a healthy diet is very important during the COVID-19 pandemic. What we eat and drink can affect our body's ability to prevent, fight, and recover from infections, which is badly needed, especially during this time. While no foods or dietary supplements can prevent or cure for COVID-19 infection, healthy diets are important for supporting immune systems. Good nutrition can also reduce the likelihood of developing other health problems, which includes, yan, yung kanina pa rin sinasabi na meron tayong present na situation, obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and sometimes some types of cancer. Okay, so in the new normal, there are already news that yung mga 15 years old above and 65 years old below, pwede na silang payagan, wala pa lang pertinent date. With that news, ibig sabihin, we have to coexist with the virus or kumbaga, we have to go through life. Okay, we have to go out and coexist with this virus. So, how are we going to prevent ourselves from the infection? Kumbaga, we have to parang iset na natin yung ating health status para pag allowed na tayo to go back, okay, outside, okay, so most of us are excited also to go back to Letran for that matter, okay, mapiprepare na natin yung sarili natin. First, of course, is to have proper nutrition so that our immunity will be very strong. Okay, aside, of course, doon sa mga protocols na binigay na ng IATF at ng local government. So what are these tips? So one is you have to eat a variety of food, including fruits and vegetables. Okay, so every day you are required to eat a mix of full grains like wheat, maize or mais, and rice, legumes like lentils and beans, plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables, with some foods from animal sources, which, for example, from meat, pork, or beef, fish, eggs, and milk, as well as poultry. Okay, so you are also encouraged to choose whole grain foods like unprocessed maize, milled, oats, wheat, and brown rice when you can. Okay, because these unprocessed whole grains can improve your gastrointestinal functioning because they are rich in valuable fiber and can help you feel full for longer. Ibig sabihin, it will improve the satiety value of your digestive system and mapoprolong yung pagkagutom so hindi tayo kakain ng kakain. Okay? For snacks, you can choose raw vegetables, okay, like carrot sticks or cucumber sticks, fresh fruits, and unsalted nuts. Okay? So, number 2, okay, another tip is to cut back on salt. Okay? You just have to limit salt intake to 5 grams. Okay? So, sa household measure, this is equivalent to a teaspoon of salt a day. That is the recommendation. Okay? So, when you cook and prepare foods, especially those who are in charge of the kitchen, you just use salt sparingly and reduce use of salty sauces and condiments like the Filipino favorites like soy sauce, stock, yan, yung mga Knorr cubes and fish sauce. Okay? Hindi naman siya ipinagbabawal, but you have to make sure that you reduce the usage of the following sauces and condiments. Okay. So, ang primary reason why we put salt sa ating mga dishes ay to improve the natural flavor of the food or the ingredients. Okay? But not to replace yung kanyang flavor. When you add a lot of salt, nare-replace niya na yung natural flavor. Hindi na tayo nasasanay na kumakain ng natural tastes ng mga dishes that we eat. So, natatakpan na yung natural taste na nakakasanayan, kaya hinahanap-hanap natin yung mga salty foods, okay, which is not a recommendation. Okay? Another is, you can remove the salt shaker from the table or yung condiments mga containers and experiment with fresh or dried herbs and spices for added flavor instead. So if medyo natatabangan kayo sa dish dahil kulang siya sa salt, you can make use of dried herbs and spices na mas makakatulong to enhance its flavor. Pero wala siyang masyadong salt or hindi madadagdagan ng salt yung inyong dishes. Okay? So another recommendation is to eat moderate amounts of fats and oils. Hindi sinabing no or hindi sinabing dapat wala. Okay? Ang sabi, moderate amounts of fats and oils. Okay? Importante po ang fats sa ating katawan because we will not be able to metabolize and use yung mga vitamins which are fat soluble like your vitamins A, your vitamin D, your vitamin E, and your vitamin K. Di ba sabi nga nito kanina, vitamin D is very, very important to improve yung ating immune system. Okay, so we cannot metabolize and use those vitamins even if we have enough intake of it, if we don't have the recommended amount of fats, okay, in our diet as well. So, and besides, ang fat, ang ating concentrated form of energy. And our body use fats sa mga involuntary movements like the brain functioning, liver functioning, kidney function, heart function, even if we are at rest or we are sleeping. Okay? So, to get a moderate amount of fats and oils, you can replace butter or ghee with ghee is a clarified butter made from the milk of a buffalo or cow. So this is usually used in South Asian cooking. So you can replace this plus the lard, which are animal sourced fat, with healthier fats like olive, soy, sunflower, or corn oil. So ibig sabihin, mas healthy yung fat that you get from vegetable sources or plant sources rather than from animal sources. Okay? So another is when you choose white meats like poultry without the skin. Okay? Because most of the skin part contains a lot of fat, and fish, which are generally lower in fats than red meat. Okay? So, trim meat of visible fat. Kitang-kita naman natin, hindi ba, when we, kunwari, eat beef or the samgyupsal favorite of mga teenagers, kitang-kita yung fat. Okay? So, you have to limit the consumption of all of this, and then you have to limit the consumption of processed meats as well. Okay? Pwede siguro basta in moderation and occasional. Pero wag natin siyang gawing all-time favorite. Okay? So, select low-fat or reduced-fat versions of milk and dairy products. So, pwede low-fat or reduced fats, pero for adolescents and young adults, dapat ito lang, hindi pwedeng non-fat. Kasi wala pa naman kayong masyadong restriction and you need this for everyday activities ninyo. Okay, and then avoid processed baked and fried foods that contains industrially produced trans fat. Saan makikita si trans fat? You have to always read the labels of your the food item that you buy. Okay? Pag may nakita kayong trans fat doon sa likod or sa mga labels, ibig sabihin, okay, hindi magandang fat yung ginamit doon sa mga baked products na yun. Same as with salt. Titignan nyo dun sa mga snack foods or junk foods, yung label kung ilan na yung salt content so that you'll be able to monitor kung in moderation pa ba ang inyong intake or sumusobra na kayo sa limit. Okay? So, number 4 recommendation is you have to limit your sugar intake. Okay? So, limit the intake of sweets and sugary drinks such as fizzy drinks, fruit juices, and juice drinks. Okay? Liquid and powder concentrates, flavored water, energy and sports drinks, ready-to-drink tea and coffee, and flavored milk drinks. Okay? The basis for the increase in the price or tax of sugar-rich juices or drinks in the supermarket is because of our issues about diabetes. Okay? So, prevalent siya. So, siya yung, kumaga, nasa top 5 siya na morbidity or mortality causes of mga issues sa health ng mga Filipinos. Okay? Kaya tinaasan yung tax para hindi masyadong i-consume. Okay? So that's the reason behind. It's a result of the National Nutrition Survey. Okay? So for you to get the amount of sugar that the body requires, you have to just choose fresh fruits instead of sweet snacks such as cookies, cakes, and chocolates. When other desserts options are chosen, ensure that they are low in sugar and consume small portions. Okay? So, again, you have to read labels. Okay? Hindi pinapayagan ng Food and Drinks Administration or yung BFAD pagka walang mga labels ang mga food items. So, you really have to read the labels and be conscious of the amount of nutrients that indicated there para you can monitor. Avoid giving sugary foods to children. Okay, salt and sugar should not be added to complementary foods given to children under 2 years of age and should be limited beyond that age. Okay, so if you have pamangkins or if you have mga kapatid na less than 2 years old, wag muna natin silang isama sa mga table foods. Kasi yung mga table foods, yung pang mga adults na or young children, yung mga nasa lamesa na hinihahain, mataas na din siya sa salt or meron siyang salt content. So para masanay yung mga bata na kumain ng mga naturally flavored food, okay? So i-avoid muna natin sila sa ganon. So, kung boil potatoes lang, plain, or lugaw, plain, okay, yun muna yung best para sa kanila. There are mga parents na tuwang-tuwang pinapakain ng chicken joy, o kaya ng french fries, yung mga below 2 years old na mga anak, which, ang effect nun, okay, nasasanay sila sa ganong flavor, hinahanap-hanap nila, long-term yung magiging effect dun sa mga bata. Okay? Next. Yeah, you have to stay hydrated. Drink enough water. So good hydration is crucial for optimal health. Whenever available and safe for consumption, tap water is the healthiest and cheapest drink. Wala siyang calorie. Drinking water instead of sugar-sweetened beverages is a simple way to limit your intake of sugar and excess calories. Okay? So you just have to be hydrated. At mura pa siya, economical. Instead of buying soft drinks and other fruit drinks, you can just get potable water, okay, tap water, okay, pinsan libre, okay, if there's no available na free na potable water, mas mura pa din siya kaysa sa mga sweetened beverages. Okay. Next, You have to avoid hazardous and harmful alcohol use. Okay? Ayan. So, kung meron tayong uh, ganyan yung habit na uminom ng alcohol, it is not part of a healthy diet according to the World Health Organization. Drinking alcohol does not protect against COVID-19 kahit na mataas yung alcohol percentage na and can be dangerous. Okay, frequent or excessive alcohol consumption increases your immediate risk of injury as well as causing longer term effects like liver damage. So, this is irreversible. Pagka nag-damage na ang liver, hindi na natin siya maibabalik sa dati niyang function. Okay? Cancer, heart disease, and mental illness as well. So, there is no safe level of alcohol consumption. So, ito, pwedeng no. Okay? Or non-alcohol intake. Okay? So really avoid, hindi limit, hindi to moderate, but to avoid. Breastfeed babies and young children. Okay? Yeah, for breastfeed babies and young children, breast milk is the ideal food for the infants. This is safe, clean, and contains antibodies which help protect against many common childhood illnesses. So babies should be breastfed exclusively during the first 6 months of life, as breast milk provides all the nutrients and fluids that they need. Okay? For 6 months of age, breast milk should be complemented with a variety of adequate, safe, and nutrient-dense foods. Breastfeeding should continue under babies at 2 years of age or beyond. Okay? And women with COVID-19 can breastfeed if they wish to do so and should take infection prevention and control measures. Okay? So, we will not stop yung mga mothers to breastfeed their babies even they are if they are infected with the virus. Okay. So, as we also uh, apply yung proper nutrition, it is important that we also adopt or apply yung food safety during COVID-19. Okay? So, I'll show you a video. Okay, wait lang. Yung aking technical. Okay, so there are tips for safe food safety during COVID-19. There is no evidence that COVID-19 can spread through contact with food or food packaging. COVID-19 is generally thought to be spread from one person to another. However, it is also important to practice good hygiene when handling food to prevent any foodborne illnesses. Okay? So, there are 5 keys to safer food according to World Health Organization. Before we go to Pinggang Pinoy and 10 Commandments. Who's the World Health? Okay. Okay, so we have to wash the food that we brought outside in the supermarket. We have to wash them before we store them. You know, five is the same. Yeah. Okay, so there is a short video of 5 keys to safer food. Okay, so let's watch this. Grado 8.
These are the bad ones. They're responsible for the foul smell, bad taste, and repulsive look of rotting food. But they normally don't cause diseases. But it's the other kinds of microorganisms that we really need to be afraid of. They don't cause food to smell bad. They don't change the way it looks. They are the dangerous ones. And it's necessary to be very careful with them. These are known as pathogenic microorganisms. They can cause severe illnesses such as stomach pains, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, and even death. They're deceitful, invisible, and dangerous. These tiny beings are very, very prolific. To increase in number, they need food, water, time, and warmth. They can multiply very quickly. Fortunately, no matter how strong and frightening these microorganisms are, they are preventable and vulnerable. It takes as little as 5 simple rules, 5 behavior to get rid of them. Protect yourself and your family from diseases in the home. The rules are easy to apply. These are your 5 keys to safer food. Keep clean to prevent contamination. Separate raw and cooked foods to avoid cross-contamination. Cook thoroughly to kill microorganisms. Keep food at safe temperatures, whether hot or cold, to prevent bacterial growth. Use safe water and safe raw materials to avoid contamination. Food producers are the ones primarily responsible for the safety of the food you buy. But you can protect yourself and your family from diseases in the home by applying the 5 keys to safer food. Use them. You also have a role to play.
Okay. So those are the 5 keys to safer food. So that after applying yung proper nutrition, we had to also have to apply food safety and sanitation para we will prevent ourselves from foodborne illnesses. Okay. So next slide, please. So all of the recommendations of the World Health Organization about healthy diet can be summarized and better visualized by looking at Pinggang Pinoy. Okay, so these Pinggang Pinoy and 10 Kumain Mints, okay, that is being used to advertise proper nutrition are basically created not only to for the promotion but to correct yung pre-pandemic and the present condition of the nutritional status of the Filipinos. Okay, you can also see sa internet yung My Plate, but that's American. Yung Pinggang Pinoy, this is created exclusively for the Filipinos, okay, in different ages. Okay, this food guide uses a familiar food plate model to convey the right food group proportion and per meal basis to meet the body's energy and nutrient needs of adolescents, adults, and other age groups. Pinggang Pinoy serve as visual tool to help Filipinos adapt the healthy eating habits at mealtimes by delivering effective dietary and healthy lifestyle messages. Okay, so you can download or print the Pingay Pinoy images from the internet, and then you can place it sa areas where you cook or prepare your meals or sa dining area para you will be keep on be reminded of what is really proper nutrition. Okay, so the Food and Nutrition Research of the Department of Science and Technology has come up with this visual tool to guide Filipinos in consuming the right amount of food in every mealtime. So this Pinggang Pinoy will answer the question of how much you should eat in one meal in order to be healthy. It will also serve as quick and easy guide for determining how much to eat per meal. Okay? So you will now know yung amount lang, yung moderate amount of food that you have to consume in a specific meal period. Okay? Another uh, visual representation is the 10 commandments. Okay, so 10 utos yan, which summarizes what really is the recommendation for proper nutrition. And I believe this is frequently shown as advertisement sa television, okay, in promoting proper nutrition. Okay, with this visualization, it can help you to monitor your intake, okay, of proper nutrients, even if you are in your home, so that you'll be able to prepare yourself, okay, and coexist with the virus in the near future. Sana soon, okay, para we can go back to our new normal, okay, that we are not confined inside our homes lang. Yeah, so this is a sample one-day meal plan. If you apply yung visualization, yung actual visualization ng Pinggang Pinoy at saka ng 10 commandments. Okay, so magkaiba ang requirement for male and female. Okay, so the more colorful your food plate, the healthier the consumption. Okay, so hindi monotonous yung or hindi ano yung kulay, nag-iisa lang. Pag mas maraming kulay, mas healthy. Okay. Okay, with that, I'll be ending my presentation with this quote from Edward Albert. He is a famous actor in the United States. So, according to him, in times of life crisis, whether wildfires or smoldering stress like we are experiencing at the present, the first thing I do is go back to basics. Okay, so we should also try to go back to basics. Okay, so pwede din siyang maging self-assessment. Okay, can you ask yourselves, am I eating right? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I getting some physical and mental exercise every day? So that we'll be able to know if we are still in a good nutritional status or a good well-being. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Okay, health is wealth and prevention is better than cure. Okay, magandang hapon ulit sa inyong lahat.
Ayan, thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much, Assistant Professor Adorita De Jose, for sharing your knowledge with
Thank
our fellow
you.
Letanites. Marami po kaming natutunan at isa na po doon ay importance ng proper food intake and sanitation, hindi lang sa pag-boost ng immune system natin at strength na rin, pati na rin sa ating mental well-being, di ba? So before we let you go po, ma'am, meron po tayong question and answer portion. Pero gusto ko lang po sana mauna sa question, no? So, ang question ko po is, which is more important in achieving our fitness goals? Is it proper diet po ba? Or going to the gym every day? Or working out, exercising? Ayan po.
Actually, they are both important kasi with proper diet, it has to go with physical activity. Kasi once na you are eating healthy and properly, tapos hindi mo naman ginagamit yung calorie intakes by doing something, okay, or engaging in a physical activity like going to the gym, hindi din siya magiging effective for you to acquire yung talagang normal weight or health for you. So, kailangan sabay sila. Pareho silang importante.
Okay.
Yes.
So, balance lang po talaga.
Okay, thank you
nag-aalat
so
ka ng
much.
time for proper diet.
We don't need to choose. Kailangan sabay natin silang i-apply or i-adapt sa lifetime natin.
Ayan. Thank you po so much for answering my question. So, Hannah?
You're welcome. Thank you also.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Dory. Now it's time naman po for our audience to sound off their questions in the comment section below. So, ayan. Meron ba tayong comment from our... Okay, from Luis Gabriel Vargas. Hi, Ma'am Dory. Question lang po. I am a student athlete in Letran and based on my situation po kasi, na-stop po yung training namin and nanibago po yung environment ko. So, unti-unti pong nabawasan yung activity level ko po. Ano po kayang possible way para ma-maintain ko ang aking health and well-being at ano po ang suitable diet para sa akin? Ayan po.
Okay. So, depende sa activity yung diet. If you will just follow the Pinggang Pinoy, it will give you enough of the nutrients. But for the physical activity, since ang mga athletes medyo high, intense ang kanilang mga workouts, siguro Luis should maintain kung ano yung mga required doon sa mga intensity workout so that the body will not adjust that much na maging sedentary. Kasi when he go back doon sa mga pag-practice, hindi na masyadong mag-a-adjust yung katawan. And it is a requirement for athletes to maintain yung kanilang body weight. Okay? So, yun. Ano yung mga natutunan niya na mga initial or mga warm-up exercises, you just have to continue it sa bahay or kung merong space sa bahay na pwede niyang gawin yon. Hindi siya pwedeng mag-stop. Okay? Para the adjustment will not that huge pagdating sa pag bumalik na tayo sa new normal. Okay? Ayan, that's all. Yung Pinggang Pinoy,
thank you so much po, ma'am.
Kasi adolescent stage naman, hindi naman masyadong demanding for a prescribed diet. You can always follow just the recommendation and enough yun for that age group.
Okay, thank you so much po, Ma'am Dory.
Thank you.
For our second question, Gio.
Ayan, so for our second question from our live audience, from Miss Sandy de Guzman. Meron po bang side effect ang pag-inom ng lemon water?
Okay, it depends doon sa person who is taking it. Kasi kung meron na siyang previous history of hyperacidity, yung mga ganyan, merong effect sa kanya because lemon, as you all know, although mataas siya sa vitamin C, mataas din ang acid level niya. Okay? Pero sa mga normal individual na walang issue about hyperacidity, it's just normal. Anyway, ang lemon naman, which is very high in vitamin C, it can immune or boost the immune system. Pero ang ating mga nutrients ay may level of absorption. The body can only absorb what it requires. So, yung mga excess na mga vitamin C, inilalabas lang din yan natin through urine. Okay. Yeah, so wala naman.
Thank you. Thank you po for answering Mrs. Sandy's question.
Okay.
No? So for question number
Thank
3,
you.
Hannah.
Okay, for our question number 3 from Mr. Craig Emil. Ano-ano po yung mga benefits ng fasting sa katawan natin? Ayan, usong-uso po kasi yung fasting
Benefit.
ngayon.
Okay. I think wala siyang benefit. Okay. So, actually, in your age group at saka yung may mga health issues, yung fasting is not recommended because we have to supply our body with enough nutrients to be able to, kumbaga, work. Okay? Kailangan ng katawan natin, meron siyang calories na nire-require para it will continue working on. Kahit nga tulog tayo we are expending energy. We are required to uh, take enough calorie kasi there are involuntary movements. Hindi nagsa-stop ang pag-work ng brains, ng heart, ng liver, ng kidney at ng ating digestive system. They are still, kahit ang regeneration ng ating muscles at skin, continuous yan kahit tulog tayo. So, kaya nire-require pa rin that we eat properly doon sa time that we are required to eat. Kasi hindi ginagamit pa rin yun ng katawan even even at a rest time or a rest period. So, hindi recommended ang fasting. Meron mga religion that, they require it. Pero kasi culture nila yon. Pagka hindi tayo sanay, we cannot adapt that. Yon. Siguro yung
Okay, thank
sinasabi
you so much po, Ma'am Dory.
Okay.
Yes,
And thank
opo.
you
Sobrang
so
uso
much,
po kasi yung
Miss.
intermittent.
Oo. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mrs.
Okay.
Miss Dory, for
Thank
sparing
you.
us a little bit of your time and
Thank
sharing
you
a
very
little
much
bit of your
also.
knowledge to everyone. Marami po kaming natutunan talaga dito sa talk
Okay.
ninyo at ma-apply po namin siya panigurado, lalo na po sa panahon ngayon, no, Hannah?
Yes.
Yes, Gio. But before that po, Ma'am Dory, meron pa pong pahabol na dalawang question from ating audience. Sobrang eager na eager po sila na malaman, di ba?
Eager.
Ito po, from Juliana Alessandra. How about people who find alcohol as their way of escape their current mental state? What are the possible alternatives?
Okay, so kahit kailan ang alcohol will not correct any problem, especially health, okay, as a whole. Okay, so siguro there's no alternative with alcohol but to practice or adopt proper diet and then look for somebody who can help. Kasi kung hindi na natin kaya ang isang stress, for example, we go to look for mga alcoholic beverage para lang to ease. Pero it will not help us. Kumbaga, sandali lang yung effect after nun, ganun pa rin naman. So, siguro, we have to eat properly and then seek for help para you can really achieve yung wellness. Okay? So, mas maaga na hindi tayo nagdi-depend sa alcohol, the better.
Okay. And for our last question, Gio, ano pa bang question dyan from
And
our audience?
meron tayo pong question from Miss Henny Calagto. Paano po kaya kapag may underlying illnesses, paano po kaya ang nutrition treatment?
Ayan. So you have to seek the medical help of a registered nutritionist and dietitian because lahat ng individuals may unique na requirement. So what we do, we assess first the client or the patient kung ano talaga yung requirement niya. And we will not just look doon sa kung ano yung nararamdaman ng client. We have to also see kung ano yung mga biochemical tests niya, mga laboratory tests. We have to also look at the intake or mga previous intake ng patient so that we will know kung ano yung mapiprescribe namin na diet. This is individualized. Hindi kami pwedeng mag-prescribe ng diet for a group of people. Kahit normal diet, we take into account first the assessment. Okay, we assess the person because kahit pareho kayong babae, kung magkaiba kayo ng age, magkaiba kayo ng weight, magkaiba kayo ng height, magkaiba pa rin kayo ng diet requirement. Most especially if there is an underlying illnesses already.
Ayan, thank you, Miss Adorita Jose, for answering the question. And from Miss Sandy Guzman, thank you po, Ma'am Dory. And sa
You're
lahat po
welcome,
ng mga live
also.
viewers natin, sana po nasagot yung mga katanungan ninyo. So, Hannah, would you
Sana.
like to add? Would you like to add some more?
Ayun. Thank you so much po, Miss Dory. And of course, for Sir Nikko Castillo po, for being here at our webinar entitled Sulong Kalusugan. Sobrang dami po naming natutunan. And ako po, especially, sa start ko na pong i-prioritize yung aking health kasi medyo napapabayaan ko na po siya. Aminado naman po ako doon. And ayun nga. Kaya Letronites, tandaan po natin na mahalaga po ang ating kalusugan. Ayan, maraming salamat po ulit, Ma'am Dory and Sir Nikko Castillo for being here with us
Thank you
today.
so much.
Okay, before we end this program, maraming salamat din po sa ating partner organizations, especially po sa Studio 1620 for helping us na magawa po itong ating webinar for today. And of course, sa mga audiences po natin na walang sawa at hindi napapagod sa kaka-comment and super active nila, 'di ba, Gio? Grabe. 'Di ba? Grabe yung active ng ating audience. Okay, now guys, before we end this program, we want to call on our Food Technology Senator, Sandy de Guzman, for her closing remarks.
To our guest speakers, thank you for giving us your time and imparting us with your knowledge about health and nutrition, which is a substantial help in caring our mental health. To our partner RSO and the Letran Student Council, this event would not be possible without your help. Lastly, I end this remark with a quote from Les Brown. Give yourself a break. Stop beating yourself up. Everyone makes mistakes, has setbacks and failures. You don't come with a book on how to get it right all the time. You will fail sometimes not because you plan to, but simply because you're human. Failure is a part of creating a great life. Thank you and stay safe, Letranites.
Thank you, Sandy, for the closing remark. And to all of our Letranites, we hope that you've enjoyed the rest of the program. Also, I would like to take this opportunity as well to thank the project heads for organizing this event, the Department of Student Affairs, and to the very talented and skilled Studio 1620 team for making everything possible. Again, I am Gio Guerrero.
And I am Hannah Pimentel, saying that the greatest wealth is our health. Thank you so much, Letronites. Please stay tuned for a while for our Himno de Letran.
Dinala si Quezon sa Maynila at sa gayoy makapag-aral siya sa Colegio de San Juan de Letran.
Ang 75 season ng NCAA.
Where is the team of Colegio de San Juan de Letran?
Students of Colegio de San Juan de Letran back top honors.
Kampiyon ng Letran.
Sa endgame kaya panalo ang Letran.
Back as a miss from the Ant-Man Mark Cruz.
Fuiste antorcha de luz. poder, y a través de su augusto destino, de esperanza serás Rosicler, pues lograste según tu modelo tantos hombres ilustres formar, que semejan estrellas del cielo en la noche serena al brillar. Come soles tu gloria sin fin, y perfuman los labios también, come salas paloma y las mil, orgullosas de tu historia, nuestras almas te ayudarán, confesar por tu nombre, oh gloria, y orar santidad de